back to the beginning of said chapter here. And, you know, I wouldn't be myself if I just didn't say this.
Go ahead.
You do know, again, that there's just no point in continuing this book if we're not going to do the spreadsheet. I mean, it literally even says twice in the beginning, condense it from our deep dive survey. Here's our MS Excel file with all the data. That's where you're pulling the micro commitment bucket survey out
of. I'm trying to process that. Yeah, but
I got a big disadvantage because I don't know how to use Excel.
Well, I mean, I agree, I understand, but this is a whole process. That's why I think everybody thinks I'm like lying about it. The entire book is incumbent upon this deep dive survey.
Yeah. But isn't this this chapter is about actually putting together the micro bucket survey?
Correct. But okay, let's look at the second page. Okay, let's just read the chapter. In this chapter, we're going to be covering the next step in the survey funnel process. The next step, the micro commitment bucket survey. That's where your prospect sees it initially when the video starts to play. After your prospect is finished watching your landing page video, they click on a button to start your micro commitment bucket survey. The first step in your survey will look something like this. And it's got a graphic and shows very basic. It's very, and this is actually called a grease the wheels, and we'll get later on in that chapter. But something it's very similar to what the methodology behind it is very similar to the whole charging of $1 or something like that. It's really to overcome that first initial barrier to try to get the wheels of progress moving.
Yep.
So in other words, you'll ask a prospect to answer a series of multiple choice questions, one question at a time, until they ultimately reach the final step in your micro commitment bucket survey, where you ask them to provide their name and email in exchange for a diagnosis, recommendation, or customized solution you promised in your landing page video. How to come up with the question. In this next section, we'll come up how to come up with your micro commitment bucket survey questions, how many questions to ask, and in what order to ask them. To do this, we'll be going back to the deep dive survey data. Be organized and sorted in different themes.
Yeah.
So from our deep dive survey, here's our MS Excel file with all the data. And it's got an actual picture of the spreadsheet. If you remember, our goal is to cover 80% of the market with 3 to 5 different buckets. In this particular example, he only covered roughly about 73%, but he felt that because this wasn't like a statistical thing, that was enough of the market that he was happy and satisfied with. So roughly a good rule of thumb is 3/4.
Exactly.
Let me describe what those 4 buckets end up being so you can understand the context. And he broke them down to 4 main problems. The main problem was the first theme I saw was people having multiple products and trying to sell it and not understanding how to sequence it to the right people, to the right message. The second theme I saw were people struggle to make paid cold traffic convert. Third theme I saw were people had existing funnels but just really wanted to optimize them further so that they converted better. Fourth problem was they looked to get into new markets and launch new business to work with and build an entire funnel from scratch. So technically, they just wanted to get devs started from the beginning.
And that's what you're talking about right there. That data that he just basically laid out. Now he knows more about the person that's actually on his website.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, if you look at this, it's like we're breaking down into the purpose, the segment, the persuade. This entire book is incumbent off the data off the deep dive survey.
I agree with that. Yep. He just explaining that process because those things that you just listed were basically the data that he found off of the deep dive survey.
Correct.
Yeah.
So my personal goal today is I'm going to reach out to a couple of different people I know have actually done this.
Yep.
And I'm going to try to find somebody kind of like we did yesterday that can actually walk us through doing the spreadsheet.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have a list?
Do what?
Do you have a list?
A list of what?
Like people, like
yeah, I have several lists.
Have you asked the first question? I think he said the first question was, what is your biggest struggle?
No, because I don't know how to do this yet.
Oh, well, see, that's literally what I did. I actually just created a survey Gizmo account, and I literally just sent out that first question. Now, I started it off by sending it out on Facebook, but actually today I could do that. I could actually send that same survey out to my whole email list and say, hey, what is one of your biggest struggles, and just to get some more feedback. So I think that's the first thing. And then after that, I think that's what the next thing was when he got these 4 questions, when he got these answers about multiple products without matching the right products, struggling, they get paid, was struggling to make paid cold traffic convert, people exiting the funnels and the new markets and build it from scratch. So literally, I just think that is literally asking the first question first and then getting the those other 4 questions answered from your list. And then from there, you're able to build that micro bucket survey. That's what I'm understanding. Is that what you guys are gathering?
Sounds like it to me.
Yeah. So like I said, Survey Gizmo has a free deal. You can just sign up with that. I think that's the easiest way to kind of get it started. But yeah, that what you was talking about, Sean, with the grease the wheel, the presentation question, and the segmentation question. Those are the things that he would basically using to get those answers. Would you say?
Well, that's the second step. Yeah.
Second step, yeah.
Because we have each one of these is a phase, and each one of these is going to be a separate. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, it says my internet connection is unstable. We've been having some problems out here lately. I don't know why. All right, so question 1 is every micro commitment bucket survey, your first question should be described as a grease the wheels question. It should be a very basic, something that they take, requires 0 processing power to actually answer, and it needs to be something that could, really doesn't put up the barriers. So like, are you a man or a woman? Are you old or young? Are you human or a fish? Something like that. Well, yeah, I know that. Boom.
But the reason why I think he's asking so many simple questions, and I think he kind of talks about it is that when you ask deep questions and it's kind of trying to change a person's mindset, he said they get into that whole, it becomes overwhelming, and they start to they just start to defend themselves, and it feels like, I don't know, like it feels like maybe you're attacking their beliefs or whatever. And
it's not so much overwhelming, but that goes into the whole thing. I got into a whole debate yesterday in ClickFunnels about, and weird question is that guy pitching anything, Warren Klaus.
Mm-hmm.
I have a call with Warren next Tuesday to actually start doing his community management. And
Okay.
I've offered to because I think the way he does things is just really going to change how we sell. But it has to go through the crocodile brain. So the point of that is anything that's new to us, we perceive it as a threat. That just comes back from the caveman days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's the whole point to the grease the wheel question, is to really kind of drop the barrier on something. Next thing is we're more likely to finish something once we're committed to it, believe it or not, once we've kind of start moving down the hill. That's why another reason, have you ever noticed on a lot of the forums and stuff like that you've seen, that you have opted in, that you actually have like a task bar, says you're almost done. And It's got like a little progress bar, because people, that'll actually boost up your conversions, because people are more likely to complete something when they see that they've already kind of moved through the process.
That's true.
That's another reason too, on the surveys, you put how many questions there are, unless you have 60 questions.
Yeah. And the questions
you get what I mean by how many questions there are? Like question 2 of 3, question 1 of 3, question 3 of 3. And it lets people know, because number one thing that'll keep me from doing a survey is I keep doing it, I keep filling it out, and I think it's the end, the questions keep on coming, and I'm not going to complete that. I'm going to back out of it.
I agree, 100%. You're right. 1 of 6, 2 of 6, 3 of 6 makes it more manageable. I agree with that.
So,
yeah, that's a lot of truth to that.
So business to question 2 is going to be a business type. Next, you want to move the second category of questions, your personalization questions. You'll be using the answers to questions to personalize your marketing message. This is a further segmentation. The reason why is because we'll all be capturing these responses and pinning those responses to a person's database record when they opt into your email list. So this is where if anybody uses ClickFunnels or any type of marketing automation, if you look in the back of the platform, there's something called a tag.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you apply tags.
Okay.
We're referring to them later on. For instance, your email follow-up. Yeah, exactly. For example, okay, knowing a prospect's age, you can use merge fields in your email. If you're in a health market, you can write things like, if you're in your age 45, then you might have noticed your body has started to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a person and I see an ad and I see, if I'm in age 37, I'm going to be a lot more likely to click on something opposed to if you're in age 52 and I'm not personally 52.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. You can do this by passing survey responses to your email follow-up system. While it sounds very technical, there are several ways to accomplish this. One of the ways is to use the survey funnel software I mentioned, which we developed for this very purpose, which integrates with virtually every email follow-up software on the market. You can learn more by visiting surveyfunnelsoftware.com. I'll be hacking that. The second reason for asking personalization questions is that you can use the information to laser target subsegments of your market for future promotions for product offers. So without getting into too technical, this is just really kind of further placing them in deeper buckets.
Mm-hmm. I like how you threw that one piece in.
Well, I need that. It's mine.
Yeah.
So after gathering data from the deep dive survey, I refined the multiple choice options to include which of the following best describes your primary business. I'm a business owner. I sell my own products or sell an affiliate. I'm a marketing consultant who helps business owners. And I decided to eliminate 4 categories I had included when asking the question in the deep dive survey. I sell products as an affiliate. I'm a copywriter. I'm an employee of a company, other. So he's basically taking those 4 buckets and he's further eliminating them and putting them down as a narrowing down as far as the options. I eliminated the separate affiliate option and combined it into the primary business owner category because the affiliate numbers were small. Does everybody understand what that means?
Because the affiliate numbers were small.
All right, CJ, your mic's off. What that means is okay, remember he's trying to cover 80% of his market.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the affiliate only represented a very small portion of that market. It didn't represent enough to create an individual bucket. But he didn't want to throw it out. So basically he lumped the affiliates under the business owners.
Okay. Makes sense.
I estimated the separate affiliate option and combined it into the primary business owner category because the affiliate numbers were, under 5%, and the vast majority of those respondents also sold their own products. So basically, pretty much everybody that was an affiliate was also selling their own products.
Mm-hmm.
I eliminated the copywriter option because the numbers were also very small, and based on the feedback I received, the subgroup of copywriters who represented potential prospects in my business also considered themselves as consultants.
Yeah.
So I'm able to combine these 2 categories together. I eliminated the employee option because I'm not terribly interested in selling to employees of companies. They're a relatively small segment to begin with, and they're not really the market I'm after. The deep dive survey results confirmed that it was a small segment and that one I could ignore. So ideally, they want the ideal customer. They're not going to be representing very much of his margin as far as profit, and he just felt that was comfortable. Just completely ignore that as a whole.
Mm.
The deep dive surveys, finally I eliminated the other category because the majority of these respondents actually did a combination of selling their own products and consulting. What I've done here is focus on what makes the bigger difference in terms of how I communicate with someone in my market, whether someone sells their own products or they're a consultant. That's part of your headline.
Yep.
Whenever possible, I'm looking for 80-20 opportunities like this to reduce the number of potential survey answers to present to a prospect. Generally speaking, all things being equal, the fewer options you present, the easier the question is to answer. And the more likely your prospects will answer the question and move on to the next question in your survey. I'll reread that. Generally speaking, all things being equal, the fewer options you present, the easier the question is to answer. And that more likely your prospect will answer the question and move on to the next question in your survey. Costco, and I've used this story several different times, Costco, they had horrible catch-up sales.
Mm-hmm.
They literally brought a person in to look at why they had horrible catch-up sales. At that point in time, they had 54 different types of ketchup. They had standard ketchup, generic ketchup, gourmet ketchup, ketchup with jalapeno flavoring, garlic sauce, robust, thick, spicy ketchup. The person eliminated the ketchup products down to 4 ketchup products.
Yep.
Ketchup sales went through the roof.
Mm-hmm. Less choices.
Yeah, because we as human beings, we get overwhelmed. I have iTunes, I have Apple Unlimited Music. I have maybe 7 songs on it.
7 songs.
Yeah, because every time I go to actually add something to my unlimited music account, my mind draws a blank from all the vast choice and possibility.
Wow. Yeah. So this is why those questions are so wise. Like, are you a male or female? Are you a part-time business owner, full-time business owner? Those are just easy
The
questions.
first one, are the male or female, are you old or young, are really just to prime the pump.
Yep.
That's really true. I mean, if you get something in there, because he kind of already knows if they're male or female from the deep dive survey.
Mm-hmm.
But this is really just to prime the pump and get the old juices flowing, if you will, that people are more likely to answer the question.
But did you pay attention to the part where Dan was saying yesterday, is that the method that he uses is kind of like the ASK method on steroids.
Yeah.
You know, because he said he doesn't even he gets people to come into the course, but he doesn't even have the course created. He creates it once he gets the data. You know,
I've been thinking about that too. There's a lot of people that are starting to really kind of do that. They're really kind of creating the product before they actually they're actually selling the product for Bill Gates said that actually. That was one of the founding things that Windows built off of, was selling the product before the product was even built. Beta, that's where technically the whole term beta launch comes from.
Yep, that's exactly right, beta. Smart. That's smart.
Hold on, guys. Can someone pick up real quick?
Yeah. I'm trying to see here what else I can add. But I like the fact that he's not focusing on the whole market. He's just trying to cover a majority of the market. And I think that by gathering all this information, you pretty much can cover it. Like I think he said the first attempt he was able to cover 73% of his market. Pat and Chuck, do you guys have a list?
What kind of list? What do you mean?
When I mean list, I mean like an email list of people that subscribe to your email.
Oh yeah, I think we have we have multiple lists.
Oh, okay. Have you guys tried to get maybe Survey Gizmo or Survey Thing to maybe send out some deep dive questions yet?
No.
Because they have a free account where you can actually set it up.
For how many people can you send it to though?
Oh, you can send it to your whole list.
Oh, we have like 800.
Yeah, you can send it to your whole list because you can create the question and then create a link and then just put it in your when you send it out as your broadcast.
Yeah, last night we were brainstorming about how to capitalize on our photography list.
Yeah, we were.
And based on some of the stuff that we talked about yesterday afternoon.
With Dan.
Yeah.
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 So,
hey, by the way, Sean, what's Dan's real last name?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you knew.
No, I just know it's not his real last name.
Okay, because he doesn't have a property here in that name in St. Pete.
Oh no, not under that name. No.
No.
That whole thing is made up.
That's the FBI guy.
Yeah.
He knows.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
No, he doesn't. He said he knew.
Who's
Yeah.
the FBI guy?
Scott Lumley.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he said a lot of things.
Oh, please.
That part I believe.
Well, we'll find out. We just figured you take the easiest path first, ask someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you to
Maybe
do.
I'll find out.
But since you don't know, we'll just find out.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
No, it ain't.
Yeah, it is. We'll just find out.
You know me, I'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, it's
He's
not
right
that
around the
hard.
corner from us. You think I'm not
All
gonna
you have to do is, you know what house he's in, right?
No.
I'm telling you. I mean, it's pretty easy to. All you have to do is look at his profile, get an idea what the address is, and then contact the assessor's office.
Mm.
Well, that's one way we could do it. I mean, even like in that video, it shows the house across the street from him.
I thought about
We could just go drive the neighborhood,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Get the address. Oh yeah, all you need is the address.
find that house, and then you can just like, okay, well, there's the neighbor house, so this is his house.
And then look for the gray Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's
Yeah, between his Facebook, hell, you wouldn't even have to drive it. Between his Facebook, looking on the back end, and then the video with the Pinky and the Lamborghini, where it's showing they sitting in the garage, showing the houses across the street. You could just use Google Maps and pretty much figure it out.
yeah. I mean, you'd be shocked how fast and easy we can find a lot of.
No, I wouldn't, dude. I'm a hacker. I know everything about all of you.
Oh yeah. 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 Well,
That's actually scary.
no, it ain't.
Oh my God.
There's nothing worth knowing
There's
about.
a whole, I mean, as a matter of fact, with you guys, there's a whole term called OSINT, which you don't even have to get, you don't have to get real medieval on. OSINT stands for open source intelligence. You'd be surprised the vast amount of information that's public record on people.
Yeah. Yeah, Pat's an expert on that.
Yeah, I know Pat's an expert on that.
I'm not. I'd rely on her.
Mm.
Question 4, email list situation. The next question I settled on is as follows. Which of the following describes your email list situation? I have a large email list with thousands of subscribers I'm able to mail to. I have a small or non-existent email list. This is relevant information for me because it tells me what approach that person will need to take with respect to conducting their deep dive survey when it comes to implementing the survey funnel process in their business. This in turn will impact my messaging, even what products and services I might introduce them to. So he's not going to sell, this vast he's not going to sell this vast automation marketing platform to someone that doesn't have a list because that's not the stage that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Question 5 is business size. And I want you to understand this too. Past couple of years ago, you really seen a shift, or I personally did, from the way they gauged business size. It used to be by employees,
Okay.
actual brick and mortar location employees. But with the kind of the rise of the internet age where you have virtual locations and a lot of businesses actually have the virtual or remote model, and there's some huge businesses out there that do not have a physical location like Hootsuite, Buffer, Meet Edgar, things like, you get what I'm saying? These are all just, they're remote employees. So now they start, and this might have always been this way, but this is what I thought I've seen. They actually now, they now estimate businesses by the actual gross sales.
Mm. Okay. I want to ask CJ. CJ, do you have a list?
Absolutely not.
You have a website, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have like Aweber, MailChimp, anything like that?
Nope.
Not yet.
Yeah, you should probably sign up for that. I think Aweber is something like $10 a month, and they may have a free option. I think that'll be good for you.
Start it. Does it capture email addresses or?
Well, they have and that's something I learned from a man. I told you about the guy Matt Paulson who wrote the book Email Demystified. He said that one thing that a lot of websites don't have is that you ever went to a website and a little pop-up thing comes down, and it comes down with an offer and it says opt in for free 10 tips to get blah blah blah.
Yeah.
and ask for email. He said just by putting that on your website, when every visitor comes, can increase your list by 40%.
Wow.
Just a little small thing to do. So when you sign up, they have that option, like in Aweber and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry about this, Sean. I just want to ask that real
Oh,
quick.
you're good. You're good. I got a kind of a situation going on in Poland right now. So,
It's in Poland right now.
I have servers in kind of East Coast, Poland, and Thailand.
I got
All right, so it's question 6, the segmentation question. The final question is the survey is my segmentation question. This question I'll be using to funnel people into different buckets. Now, when you're going through this process yourself, you might ask, what dimension should I use my segment to aspects? Should I choose one variable? Should I choose multiple variables? That's not the question I ask myself. Should I do it based on gender, age, business size, or type? What should I use? My answer to that question is that you're going to depend on the specifics of your business and what is most important to you when it comes to customizing your marketing message and products and services you introduce to each different segments. Oftentimes, segmenting by demographics is less effective than segmenting based on the nuances of the situation, challenge, or problem your prospective customer is looking at to solve. You often see demographic patterns and trends that emerge, but segmenting around a core issue and customizing your message based on that is generally more effective than picking out a demographic variable. To give you a better sense, let's take a look at my segmentation question in our example. The internet business clients I work with are doing less than 100K a year to 500K a year, who are getting decent traffic and struggling to get traffic, and who have a large email list to small. So these are all variables, if you guys are following along. Tend to struggle with one of the several marketing challenges. Which of the following is your biggest challenge right now? Selling to multiple sub-markets, making paid traffic convert, fixing an existing funnel, or entering a new market, or none of the above. Obviously, none of the above really describes my situation. So if I click none of the above, it's going to put them in the other bucket, which means that he's pretty much going to write them off. So how do I arrive at the question about these options as my segmentation question? Let's dissect what we're looking at step by step, starting with the question. What I've done here using a prospect's response to the previous questions to customize how the question reads to take into account their situation. For example, if a prospect sells their own products and generating between $100,000 to $500,000 a year in revenue, is generating decent traffic to their site, and has a large email list. The question read, the internet business clients I work with are doing at least 100K per year, who are getting decent traffic and have a large email list, but tend to struggle with the several marketing challenges. Which is your biggest challenge right now? Let me draw your attention to a few things. Notice how I said doing at least 100K per year instead of doing between 100K and $500,000. Of these two options, which sounds more natural in the way you might speak if you're having a conversation with someone in person? What I'm trying to do here is phrase my question in such a way that it represents how this conversation with someone in person naturally is a very non-robotic, non-formulaic way. In fact, and this is important, you almost want to understate the fact that you're using customization in your questions. You want to insert phraseology that feels natural. And the same thing with the traffic component to question. When I say getting decent traffic or struggling to get traffic, this is very, I don't know what that word is, it's natural. And this benefit prospect, what is it?
Colloquial.
Colloquial? What does that mean?
I don't remember.
Hold on.
I know how to say it though.
Alexa, what's the definition for colloquial? Shit, that stumped her.
Alexia's still asleep.
I'll tell you in a minute here.
I'm getting my Google on. Colloquial, used in ordinary or familiar conversation, not formal or literary.
I gotta say it.
Colloquial.
That's, you still 2 steps ahead of me knowing how to say it. I don't think I've ever literally seen that word before.
Not seen it.
So
This
the word itself is the opposite of what it means.
Right. That's funny. Touche. That is funny.
Mm.
And this benefit your prospective customers as well. And this benefits your prospective customers as well. If you have something of value to offer, then you can charge your lives in a positive way. Then you want to use the same language you might use if you were standing in front of that prospect and helping them in person. In fact, that's the big idea here. The questions you ask in your micro commitment bucket survey should mimic the experience someone might have if you were asking them a series of questions in person to get them to know a little bit more better about them to recommend a solution to them.
Mm-hmm.
This is the crux of the entire ask formula concept. If someone raises their hand and says, I need help in person, we naturally ask that person a series of questions to get a better sense of what they're looking for, what they've tried, and what they're struggling with. But online, this almost never happens. So as a result, there's a tremendous amount of inefficiency in the way business is transacted online. The website visitor loses out because they feel they haven't been heard and perceive the solution you're offering isn't for them. Thus, they leave frustrated without a solution. The merchant loses out because they lose out on potential sale. If scale weren't an issue, you might connect every single website visitor with a live salesperson. Does everybody understand what that means?
If sale wasn't an issue.
Yeah. That means there's no way you could market a digital product to 100,000 people and interact with all of them on a personal level.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can't call 100,000 people.
So you couldn't sit there and be like, hey, what's going on? What can I help you with?
no.
Yeah. So if scale weren't an issue, you might connect every single website visitor with a live salesperson who can take them through the process, but that's not simply feasible for most businesses that operate in scale. Thus, micro-commitment bucket surveys approximate this experience in a way that's both scalable and where everybody wins. Now that we've covered the question in our segmentation question example, let's move on to the potential answers I've settled on so you can understand the rationale behind these options. You might be wondering, do all prospects see the same 5 options and of how they answered the previous answer? I lost my thought. In our example, the answer is yes. The reason is why, because based on the results of my deep dive survey coupled with my knowledge of the market and my customers, there are essentially 4 major challenges that are looking to solve when they come to me. Selling to multiple sub-markets, making paid traffic convert, fixing an existing funnel, entering new market product line. So he's actually taking
4 main problems.
well, that kind of stumped me on that because I don't understand.
What do you mean?
I need to learn how to do the spreadsheet.
What you mean? What stumped you was these 4 things that he just mentioned?
No, I'm trying to figure out because when he asked that, when he said that, are you asking these same 4 questions to all 4 buckets?
Mm-hmm.
Or is the actual the micro commitment bucket survey, is that going to change per bucket?
Oh, you mean depending on what category they fit in?
Yeah, because I thought this was going to be the variable, but this might not be the variable.
Mm.
I mean, it sounds to me like it is. You've got separate sets of questions based on the previous answer.
Right. It doesn't matter if the business is doing 100K a year or 10 million a year in revenue. The problems are generally the same. That said, the specific solutions I might present to each of those businesses might be different. For example, I might suggest a training course or coaching program for the first business that is likely in the category of having more time than money. In other words, it is likely they would rather do the work themselves in order to save money. I might direct the second company towards the sales funnel implementation services on the agency side of the business because they are more likely to want to hire professionals to do the implementation for them. I won't get into all the technical details, bullshit, behind how to set this up because there are several ways to do it. Oh my, I can't read this morning.
Well, our boy's using some big words today
Well, I know.
in the chapter, man.
Yeah.
Hell, he's
Depend on the technology you're using in your business, but essentially what you can do is capture the demographic variable, in our case, business side, and append the information to your sales page URL. So that the 100K business and 10 million business see two different there we go. Two different variations on the same sales message.
Two different.
Pragmatically. We're kind of ready to make a note real quick. Hold on.
So what did you discover there, Sean?
Well, it is going to be the variable. So after your prospects have answered your segmentation question, you have two options. You can either send them directly to a customized product sales page, or you can first send them to a name and email capture page, which enables you to capture all survey information in your email follow-up system so you can communicate with your prospects both immediately and over time. Generally, I recommend the latter unless there is a specific reason not to ask for their name and email address. The reason why is because while you might turn away a certain number of prospects with this step, your ability to communicate with them with that prospect through email is a very targeted way, which we'll be covering in detail later in this book, more than offsets any revenue you might lose initially from the prospect who decided to leave your website at the name and emails to opt-in step. So what he's saying is later on, by using that method to even further dig into them, you're going to be able to increase the LTV of the customer.
What's LTV mean?
Lifetime transactional value.
Okay.
There's only three ways to increase sales in business: to increase customers, increase how much a transaction is with the customer, and then to increase the lifetime transaction value of the customer, which means return business. Generally, I recommend, okay, one last thing to mention before we move on to the next section, where we'll be covering what to do after someone has entered their name and email and submit the survey. In our example, you'll notice that I've chosen to add other option on our segmentation question. I've done this as a check and balance to make sure the other options I present cover at least 90 to 80% of the market. Okay, so I was wrong. He's not technically write him off the other. He's just actually using that just to kind of capture any of the people that somehow just don't naturally qualify for the options he's given.
Okay.
If I see more than 10%, and certainly if I see more than 20% of responding choosing other, then it tells me that I might need to go back and rethink the options I've chosen. This is an optional step and not required when designing your final segmentation question, your micro commitment bucket survey. Now let's move on to the post survey, same visit sale web page, the next step in the survey funnel process. Bada boom.
Uh-huh. All right, so that makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Doesn't to me.
I mean, on a conceptual level, it makes sense to me. On an implementation level, that's a different story.
Yeah, that what I would concur with. Alexa, you okay today?
Great. Ready to help.
Yeah, I bet.
So Sean, do you have a very large email list with thousands of subscribers?
I do.
Okay. And
In
you have
fact, on one of my lists, I have almost 500,000 people.
and you have them segmented.
No, I do not.
So you have to segment.
Yes, you do.
So
No,
what?
I'm saying you have to segment them. You still have to do that.
I'm going to learn how to do this. I know this is a proven method. I've been trying to get around to this for some time. I know this is a complicated method, but it is a proven method, and I'm really going to take the time in the next couple of weeks to really try to figure out how to do this. You're on mute, Abdul.
That's another thing that Dan said too, and I think I have a problem with that. It's making things too complicated. I noticed he kept saying easy a lot. You know, and when he said the guy Rebus would call him and say, hey, it's not doing it. He said, dude, you skipped the step. It's literally laying down the steps and following the steps.
Right.
And making it simple.
Right. And that's what we did with this is we skipped the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you start inventing stuff
Mm-hmm.
and trying to insert it into a proven system, then that's when it starts not working.
And literally, that's what I think he's honestly following a step-by-step plan. He'll take complicated information. Okay, forget all that. What's step one? What's step two? And just constantly do that, and he just follows those steps. I really think he's that easy for him.
Mhm.
But I don't know if you guys noticed this, and I've ran into two people like this. Did you guys hear what he scored on the ASVAB?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is though.
The ASVAB is the test you take before you get in the military.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So like with what he scored, they give you can do certain jobs. Like if you score very low, they'll be like, oh, you could be no offense, CJ, you could be a mechanic, or you could be a infantry guy. Basically, you can get killed very, very quickly. But if you score high, they'll put you in military intelligence.
My
So
God.
I literally talked to a guy similar to Dan, and the guy basically couldn't even talk. I mean, he basically stuttered, and if I met the guy and didn't know him, I probably would think like, man, he's a little slow. And he told me the same story as Dan. Like, oh, I scored like 98 on the freaking thing, and I'm like, what is it about that type that misspells and comes up like this, kind of like an idiot kind of thing, but really they're like a genius.
They're savants,
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it.
right?
The guy, I said, so I know you were military intelligence. He said, no, I actually made the equipment for military intelligence. I'm just like, God dang. Same category. But I think Dan scored 99. This guy scored like a 97.
99. Can you imagine a friggin' 99?
And I guarantee you Dan was bad at school. I would guess
Oh,
when
yeah.
he came up, he was terrible at school, just like Einstein.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's something about that characteristic. And even he said it. He said, I don't know what it is, man. I just get things. But one thing, and this is why I actually started reading the book. What is the book? The Deep Thinking book that I just bought. One thing that guy told me was when he's learning something, he's not playing a radio. He's not playing a television. His face is right there. He's not focused on Facebook, anything like that. He literally just absorbs the information. And then once he's done, then he'll break away and take a rest, and then he'll come back right to it. He's not trying to multitask.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
I don't believe in multitasking.
No, there's no such
There's
thing
no
as
such thing as
multitasking.
multitasking.
No. There
When I
isn't.
studied, I keep going back to when I studied for my real estate exam.
Mm-hmm.
I always go back to that because
Yeah, and same with me. When I was going to school for that,
Yeah.
until I had my license, that was my life.
Wow.
Nothing else.
you studied a little differently than me. I actually went to the library and went to the silent room.
Oh yeah, the conference. Yeah, those rooms are good. Yeah.
Like nobody was around me.
Yeah. Well, I studied with you since you already knew
That's
the
true.
answers to all
We
the
studied
questions.
together. That's true.
So
It was good.
Pat helped me study
That's true.
for the study portion of it.
Yeah, those conference rooms are good because you're just like, I'm in that zone. Nothing
Yeah.
else matters.
Nobody else is in the room with you. It's
Yeah.
an individual room. Well, we have
Mm.
individual rooms here. I don't know what you have out there, but we have like individual
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Yeah. where you're just by yourself and nobody can bother you, and it's great.
There's and also it's funny. They're always open because I don't know. Like
Yeah, nobody wants to go in the.
They're always
nobody
open.
wants to go in the rooms. Yeah. They're
I
like,
love
oh,
the
we're
library.
just gonna multitask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing the book says is that most people don't get into deep thinking. Most people have distracted work all throughout the day, and they're never giving their best.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, for me, like I have to, if I can't break it down into steps that I could like draw out on a piece of paper, it's totally frustrating to me until I can do that.
if you can't break it down to steps.
Yeah, like, okay, this is the first thing you do. Here's the second
You're
thing
very
you do.
visual. You're very visual. He's very
You're like Russell Brunson. You have to write it. You have to
He's
draw it
very
out.
visual. He's,
I have to
yes,
draw
he
it,
is like
yeah.
Russell Brunson. He has to draw it out. Like maybe like little stick figures.
like a little
Russell
flow
Mark.
chart.
Yeah, flow charts. And
It
things
doesn't
like
need to have pictures on it, but
No.
I need to be able to draw it so I can see, like, okay, this is how it goes. Goes like this. These are the steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
You that same way too? CJ?
Yeah, I'm a visual. I have to write it down,
Uh-huh.
especially if I'm doing math and trying to compare costs. I have to see all of it in front of me. I can't see it in my head.
So
That's
the,
how,
that's
know,
the photographer in you.
in Brunson's book, thing we're working on Saturdays,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to sit down with a book and a piece of paper and just map the thing out.
Mm.
And now I understand it.
Can I ask a question? How did you find out you was a visual learner?
Well, there's no finding out. I just am.
What do you? No, it's not like you're born and there's like a necklace that magically appears that says Chuck is a visual learner.
I think I just naturally gravitated towards that way of understanding things.
Was your dad that way? Maybe?
Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe you just inherited it from him.
I don't know.
Or we
Uh,
taught that.
Nothing makes sense.
Maybe
I can't
observation.
comprehend it unless I write it.
So what about you, CJ? Was like someone in your family that way? Like was your
No,
father or mother?
no, not that I'm aware of. That's just the only way I can comprehend it. Like, my brother's the total opposite. He can look at or read the instructions to build something,
Oh no,
furniture together, and he's good. I can't.
I burn the
The
instructions.
pictures.
Yeah, I burn. The
Once I see the
instructions.
pictures, I can put it together based on the image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I don't need to read it. If there's a drawing of it, I got it down.
Mhm.
I don't need to read it.
Veronica, are you that way?
Yes, actually.
Really?
I am. Yeah, I am. I have a photographic memory. I mean, like photographic meaning I have to see, even if it's letters,
Yep.
like the audiobooks are much harder for me than the regular books. And definitely the visual type too.
That's interesting. My, I didn't know much of my dad, but one thing he did tell me, he did mention about, he said, you probably have a photographic memory because he had said he had had it. That makes sense. Are you a visual learner? Maybe Shannon's not there. But it's interesting though. Okay.
What about you, Abdul? What about you?
You know, that's why I asked Chuck, like, how did you find it out?
I don't learn stuff.
Well, no,
No, look at.
I wonder, should I try it?
when you
I
are.
think you're more of a hands-on kind of learner. That's my perception of you. Because, well, I'll give you an example, like the survey gizmo. Instead of sitting down and going and visualizing it or whatever, you just signed up for it and you made one.
Yeah. So you would have to draw it out first before you actually set it up.
Probably, yeah.
I like pen and paper. Like I feel anxious if I don't have my notebook and my pencil or pen. I feel anxious. Like I don't know. Maybe it's also a habit from school. I would always have my pen and paper to write the main points.
Yeah,
Like, I
have
have
my
to-
notebook with me at all times.
Yeah, like I get anxious. Like
No, I wonder, is there like a test you could take or something online if you can figure out which kind of learner you are?
That's because you're hands-on. It's like, okay, is there something I could physically do to find out?
Really? Just by approaching it like that?
Yeah.
Well, to me, if you understand in detail what you're reading or something that you're trying to learn just by words, then you're probably not visual, in my opinion.
A lot of times I don't learn it that way. Like I could read something and I've been many times like, what the hell did I just read? I'm definitely that way.
No, because you'll read it and be like, let me just figure this shit out.
That's me, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would start stuff before it's perfect.
When you get something that requires assembly, do you read the instructions or you just do it?
Just do it.
There you go.
yeah.
Interesting. See, I never really like thought about it like, oh, this is how I have to learn it. Oh, this is what type of learner I am. That's interesting.
Yeah, instructions are for losers.
Like, you're not gonna read the instructions? I'm like, heck no, I'm not gonna read those instructions.
No, let the other chumps read them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'll never understand them instructions anyway. I have to just.
They make it more confusing.
And that's why all of us always wind up with extra screws.
Abdul, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you're playing a musical instrument, are you reading the music or are you just getting the concept of it?
No, I can never read music. That's so funny.
See, that's telling right there.
Yeah, that was my question.
So you're
Yeah.
going by the shapes and by the
sound.
flow of it, right?
Yeah, I faked it for so long. Hold on.
Wow.
I knew you were different, Abdul.
I faked it for so long. People were like,
Because
oh.
when I play a stringed instrument,
Mhm.
I can't understand it. All I can do is just memorize the shapes.
Mm.
I don't understand a damn thing,
Nope. Mm-mm.
but
Yeah, like when we play our ukulele.
I know the shapes.
Right.
You know the shapes of the notes.
Yeah.
We know where to place our fingers.
Oh, I see what you're
Okay.
saying. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like the chords or
Okay, yeah, you look at, that chord goes there.
it's a shape.
Got it.
Jack, who doesn't like shapes?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you like cylinders.
Yeah. But Sean, I didn't hear your answer. Did you say visual?
I don't know, to be honest.
Oh,
Really?
come on.
Ask some
Yeah.
questions. Ask Sean some questions and we'll get the answer out of him.
All right, Sean, when you sit down with this Excel spreadsheet, are you going to read the chapter first?
No, I'm going to use it while I do it.
All right, so you're the hands-on kind. You're like Abdul.
Well, I mean, I'm going to follow the chapter, but I'm going to use it while I do it.
Yeah, but that's hands-on.
So when you have to put a,
Because I'm not going to. I'm going to sit down with the book and a piece of paper and a pencil,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to figure it out on the piece of paper, and then I'll go do it.
Yeah,
By what?
that I'm not going to do.
By drawing something?
Yeah.
What are you gonna draw?
I'm going to actually make the columns, and I'm going to write the names of them.
Oh hell no.
Right? That's just, you got to do that in a spreadsheet. You're just a double hands-on type of guy. That's all that is.
so Sean, if you're putting let's say you put the crib together for the baby. So did you read the instructions?
I don't need instructions.
Okay.
Oh, you just look at it and say, I'm just gonna put this together.
Well, I still think my way's the best.
He said this one.
I don't care what Sean says.
But see, that's the thing though. Knowing it does help, I guess, to say knowing. Like when Russell Brunson said, "Oh, I have to draw things." He's a visual learner. And
Mhm.
it's just like, did he take a test or something? Did somebody just tell him that? Like, how did he figure that out? But,
There's no figuring it out. You just naturally gravitate to whichever way you prefer to do it.
There has to be something out there.
There's no right or wrong, because
Yeah.
like you might be thinking, well, drawing it, man, that's like adding a whole step and it takes way longer. But
Yeah.
it doesn't, because I'll spend my time on that step. So when I do the hands-on part, I already know what to do. There's no, oh shit, this isn't right. I'm going to take it apart and put it back.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the hands-on method, you just do it, and if it's wrong, it's like, oh shit, I got to take this piece off. I'll put it here. Okay, that's right. And then
Yeah. I would do that. Yeah.
right.
Abdul, I had a question about something you said today.
It's just two paths to the same thing, and both paths are the same length.
Mm-hmm.
So you had said something earlier about putting something on your website about 10 free tips to do something
I got
Yeah.
an idea for that.
on
Yeah.
your website. And I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget about it, because I'm thinking we should do that on our website. We
Oh
didn't
God, yeah.
talk about it, but
Well, we didn't talk about it yet, but
Yeah.
we're talking about it at breakfast.
okay, yeah, because
Yeah, that's
I
funny.
was
You,
like,
you
oh
were
my
thinking
God.
that,
I was like,
because
man.
I'm thinking the same thing
Okay, 'cause I'm
on our
thinking the
real
same-
estate site.
on our Florida real estate scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do we? That's my biggest challenge, is figuring out all the stuff we're learning. Is
Mhm.
how do we translate that to real estate? Because real estate is so abstract.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me go look.
with your pop-up, you probably would have to think about something, because your categories are first-time home buyers, people who are ready to buy, or people who are ready to sell.
Right.
We have to come up with a generic thing that could fit all those people, and it pops up like maybe 5 to 10 seconds when you're on the site, and you're always in the list building mode at that point.
10
Yeah.
free tips to get your house ready to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about the first time home buyers?
I don't really give a shit about them.
Oh, because they're not. That's right. That's not your demographic, right?
No.
Well, we could offer two different things on the same offer. It could be, the top things to get your house ready to sell,
Right.
and the top 5 mistakes home buyers always make.
Yeah, something like
There you
that.
go. There you go.
And those could be in the same package. So you could, like whichever one you are, you're going to be covered.
And next step too is when you ask for the name and email, I would probably ask for the name, the email, and the phone number, but make the phone number option. Like
Right.
they give it to you if they want, but they don't have to give it to you. Yeah, that was something right there.
Yeah, the how much is your house worth one is very commonly used.
Yeah, I don't really like that
It's
one.
not effective,
It's
though.
not effective. I don't really like it.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the website.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because usually when you pull up the website, it's going to take you seconds. I say, oh, user's going to come down the screen.
Yeah, we just need to have some good bait,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which we can easily make.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were talking last night about Dan's method where, you do the initial webinar and then you edit that down into a course, and then that's the thing you're either selling or giving away.
I watched his ClickFunnels page today, and he was like, hey, Dan, and he gave you something that you had to click on. It was going to get sent to your email, and his thank you page was, and literally you could hear his wife in the shower. He's like, my wife is in the shower, and oh my gosh, got to do this real quick. And he finished it at the end, like, if I don't finish this video now, she's going to walk up naked in front of this freaking camera. So I got to do it now.
Keep me watching right there.
She's
Hey, keep watching. But then she said, are you making a Facebook? Do you have me going on live? And he was like, oh yeah. But you're stuck and you're watching the whole time. So that whole thing could have been set up.
Thanks,
That
Sean.
is genius.
It could have been set up, and I'm like, because I'm thinking the whole time, she's not gonna walk out in the screen. I'm like, he better hurry this thing up. But it keeps me staying on the freaking thing. And he's offering something for $47. And then he gets you again. Not only is he offering for $47, there's a timer going on.
I don't know if anybody wants to see me.
He said, you better take it now, or the price is gonna go up. And then all of a sudden I did something, the timer went off, and then it said, I told you I wasn't joking. Now you're gonna have to pay 50% of 197. So it immediately went up. So he's like, you're going to learn that when I tell you to buy something at that price, you better buy it, because now the price is more.
I loved him. Yesterday I went crazy. I know you're recording, so I won't say all the things, but
No, actually, we're pretty much done. Let me stop the recording now.